Come see us do stand-up in Baltimore, Hartford, Syracuse, Atlantic City, Levittown, New York, Cohoes, New York, Providence, Rhode Island, and San Jose, California. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for the tickets. And we have a special guest with us. Let's get right to it. Jeffrey Sachs, economist, academic, public policy analyst, former director of the Earth Institute at Columbia University, where he holds the title of university professor. He's the president of the UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network and served as the special advisor to UN Secretaries General Kofi Annan, Ban Ki-moon, and Antonio Guterres. He also authored and edited numerous books, including 3 New York Times bestsellers. His latest is Ethics in Action for Sustainable Development. Please welcome back to the show, Jeffrey Sachs. Hey, Jeffrey.
Hey, great to be with you. How are you?
Good. I just wanted to do a quick, I know you've been speaking a lot about the Ukraine situation, and Glenn Deason tweeted this out. He said the former prime minister of Ukraine posts video about the brutal recruitment of their men. The Western public is not meant to see such videos, as to stand with Ukraine can only mean to support a long war, and this is part of it. This is how they've been recruiting. So that's how they're recruiting people. They're ripping them off of street corners and out of their own cars and sending them to the front line to be into a meat grinder that was predicted for 20 years. So lately, Macron has been very bellicose, saying that he wants to take care of Ukraine, arm. He doesn't want to end the war. But here is Marie Le Pen, and here's what she has to say about Macron.
Emmanuel Macron
he wants France to go to war. I'm against it. Believe that this creates an absolutely enormous threat to the safety of our compatriots and to the integrity of our territory. These are the mechanics of entering a world war, and I'm sorry to tell you that I'm firmly opposed to anything that could create the risk of global conflict in which France would be on the front line. So, the little bit of good news is that their people are protesting against what Macron wants to do. Thousands of French patriots protested in Paris today. This was from March 8th, against sending any further military aid to Ukraine. They also demanded that no French troops are sent to Ukraine and called for the president to resign. So here they are. So let me just throw it to you, Jeffrey. What do you make of? I was told Marie Le Pen is a crazy right-wing maniac, and all of a sudden she's the one calling for peace, and Macron is pushing, and the EU is pushing for more war, and we just saw them ripping people. There's no more people to fight in Ukraine. So what do you make of all this?
Well, like you're showing, everything is upside down. The people who say they're supporting Ukraine are killing Ukraine. They say we need more war to save Ukraine. The war is killing Ukraine. Those who want peace are called right-wingers. It's the weirdest thing in the world. This entire war has been a folly. It was a deep state folly of the United States for 30 years that led to this war. Trump is getting out, and who's opposing him? Democrats and left of center parties, and they call the parties of that want peace right wing. It's bizarre, and it's sad how completely twisted the narrative got. But basically, this was a kind of game of the United States, push the U.S. military alliance, NATO, to Ukraine, to Georgia, to surround Russia, to weaken Russia. From the U.S. side, it was a game. From the Russian side, it was an existential threat as they saw it. So it's not a surprise that Russia responded and is winning this war, if you could say it, on the battlefield. And all of this was predictable. The United States never should have done this. Now Trump is rightly trying to get us out of this. And people who say, no, you can't do that. We have to stand with Ukraine are the ones that are sending Ukrainian kids to the front line to die in huge numbers. It's bizarre.
So are you I'm still flummoxed. I can't get over that after Iraq, I thought that the United States had woken up and that they weren't going to believe the TV anymore and they weren't going to believe their politicians anymore. But of course they did. They did with 20 years of Afghanistan. They did with Libya. They did with Syria, which we'll talk about in a moment. And are you surprised also? I mean, I'm in Hollywood, and all my friends or in Hollywood believe what they hear on TV. It's just amazing. After we said we would never do,
they're the ones that make TV. They should know.
I mean, what's it like in your circles? I mean, in my circles, people are completely brainwashed, brain dead, and they aren't skeptical whatsoever of this Russia bad narrative that the war machine concocted so they could do this Ukrainian war.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say, in my circles, they read the New York Times, so they read the same nonsense, the same complete propaganda. You know, I tried, Jimmy, for 3 years, and I'm someone who knows something about this. I've been involved with this region for 35 years at the highest levels, advising Gorbachev, advising Yeltsin, advising Kuchma of Ukraine. I know. I tried to get 700 words, one op-ed into the New York Times during the past 3 years to explain some background to this. They wouldn't do it. So this is, we're just filled with narrative and propaganda, and it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible.
So what is in it for so who controls the New York Times narrative on Ukraine? Do you have any insight into something like that?
Honestly, I don't, because it's a shame from the point of view of reporting, because they got everything wrong, and someone's going to do a great PhD dissertation showing how everything was wrong and phony. Why they want to do that, especially, Trump, actually, there are many things that are a little bit sketchy and dubious about what's going on in our country right now, but on Ukraine, that's not one of them. But I don't think the New York Times has figured this out until this moment. So I don't really get it. What is the motivation of just parroting nonsense, which they've been doing?
I think it fits into their narrative of being anti-Trump. They told their newsroom that they would be. They became basically a Democratic mouthpiece during the Trump administration, and they admitted it. It wasn't like
that theory fits. By the way, it fits perfectly because they went blindly along with Biden, who was terrible on this, just absolutely terrible. His foreign policy team was a wreckage, and now that Trump's trying to clean up, yeah, they're still sticking with the Democratic Party narrative. So maybe you have the best. Straightforward theory of all of this, which is they can't buck this. They can't acknowledge that we're ending this horrible war because that would give Trump some points. So maybe that's what this is about.
It's got to be that coupled with, of course, money, the military-industrial complex, and the long arm. They're sponsoring news all over the place. So, when I see Meet the Press do a fact-checking segment sponsored by Boeing, I know that's they're not. What I've said many times is they're not funding NBC News's investigation. They're funding their non-investigation. And
what we see, which is so weird, is that Trump has basically said, okay, we're going to end this thing completely appropriately. The Europeans, who were kind of pulled along by the United States, and I know they were pulled along reluctantly because several European leaders told me that over the years. But they continue now, even when the United States has changed. But then it's the same story. You look at all of their think tanks. So you look at the Atlantic Council, you look at the different groups. They're funded by the U.S. military-industrial complex, not their own. It's the U.S. military-industrial complex.
Our sponsors, Colonial Metals Group, helped me with my goal of protecting my financial future. Being at the whim of the stock market or the current administration doesn't make me feel safe or secure, but having a self-directed IRA where I can safely store gold and silver, assets that have stood the test of time, no matter what the economy or the government policies are, makes sense to me. Colonial Metals Group has helped me create a self-directed IRA where I can have direct access to my assets. Let the team of experts at Colonial Metals Group help you protect your family's future. Their level of professionalism and ability to listen make it easy for you to learn everything you need to know about preserving all you've worked for. Maybe you're just getting started, or maybe you're already in a 401k or an IRA, or you're thinking about your parents' retirement. Regardless, Colonial Metals Group can help. We put together a special offer for our audience. Click on the link in the description below or call our special 800 number, and you can receive a safe and up to $7,500 in free silver. That number is 888-910-1419. We love working with Colonial Metals. I chose them when I purchased my gold and silver for my retirement. No matter who you choose to purchase precious metals from, make sure you know the fees up front and what their markup is, and make sure you're getting a competitive price. Come see us do stand-up in Baltimore, Hartford, Syracuse, Atlantic City, Levittown, New York, Cohoes, New York, Providence, Rhode Island, and San Jose, California. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for the tickets.